we're gonna do our Heisman guys. You want to start with your 5 guys?
Are we going to go? Hey, let's break it up in a couple of long shots, which are guys that are 20-1 or greater. If you've got the odds in front of you, and then a couple of the guys among the favorites who we like. What do you think?
Yeah, that works fine.
Okay, my 3 guys that, depending on what betting service you're looking at, that you can get 20-1 or greater odds. I love DJ Lagway right at 20-1, and that's either on DraftKings or Best Bets. Because I think so much is going to be. I think when you're trying to handicap this, Brian, and I'm curious about when we get to your 3, whoever you view as a long shot that you're going to dabble with, you've got to look both at situation and storyline. Situation entails a guy whose team is going to be competing for possibly either a playoff spot and a guy who's going to get not only maximum reps, because all these guys are going to be starters, but a guy who also is going to be unbelievably integral to what a team can achieve. And that defines DJ Lagway's appeal to me in spades. I like Austin Simmons at plus 3,500. So he's 35-1. And at the same number, also on DraftKings, if Oklahoma's going to have a big year, it's going to go through John Mateer, having the continuity of his OC, having a desperate coach, playing in the SEC. He also appeals in the storyline. I mean, last year, Travis Hunter won it because he was a two-way guy. So that storyline of an Oklahoma renaissance would help his candidacy.
Yes, no doubt. Were you done?
With my long shots, yes.
Okay. Oh, you're doing long shots first?
Yes.
So, okay. All right. Well, first off, let me point out something because it's top of mind and I don't want to forget. So somebody in our comments on the YouTube for LSU were talking about, you had made the point that Nussmeier at plus 800, that's a bad bet. Okay, listeners, it's a bad bet at that number. It's not, Jay's not sitting here saying, oh, there's no way Nussmeier wins the high. That's not what he was saying. Because if LSU loses at Clemson in week 1, even if he throws for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and they lose by 6, his odds are going to be 15-20-1 the next week because they lost. Maybe that's a stretch, depending on how he played. But you're definitely, if they lose, you're going to have a better number the next week. They update these by week, and so that's why you don't want to necessarily take these top 5 guys because especially if they have a very tough September schedule, because there's a high probability that you can get a better number on a week. Now, maybe not. If they win their first 8, it might not work like that. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Okay, my longest shot is Haynes King, which I saw 65-1 at DraftKings. So Haynes King, last season, he had a 14-2 TDINT ratio, 72.9 completion percentage. He's a dual threat guy. He had 587 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per carry average. And as Jay was alluding to, the storyline, etc., I think Georgia Tech has a good chance to be a pretty good contender in the ACC this year. I've got them marked 7-2 with 3 swing games. And national unit rankings for Phil Steele has them 13th at running back. He's got Jamal Haynes, 944 rushing yards last year, 9 touchdowns, 5.6 yards per carry. And so he's got a good running game with him. 17 wide receiver in the unit rankings. He's got Malik Rutherford, 62 catches, 702 yards last year. He's got Eric Rivers, a 4-star transfer who was first team All-Conference USA at FIU last year when he had 1,172 receiving yards. So that's Haynes King, 65-1. Also, Sawyer Robertson at 60-1 for Baylor. And now Baylor actually is the I'm not sure about the betting favorite, but Phil Steele's got them picked to win the conference. He's got 2 enormous games, televised. If they can win in week 1 and week 2, Baylor jumps into the top 15 for sure. If they can beat Auburn and if they can beat at SMU in week 2, and he has big games, I think he could be less than 20-1 if he has 2 big games and they start 2-0. And last year, 28-8 TDI&T ratio, 3,071 passing yards. And Baylor, I think, is going to be one of those teams competing for the Big 12. How many did you do? 2 or 3 long shots?
I did 3 long shots, but I love I love your start out of the gate, and I love the Haynes King pick.
All right, Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. Okay, he's the transfer from Cal. All right, Indiana, I think it's going to be potentially, a contender for a CFP berth again. Their schedule is easy. Again, Phil Steele's national unit rankings have them 23rd at running back, 21 at wide receiver, 28 at O-line. They have their top 2 pass catchers back. Elijah Surratt, second team All Big Ten last year, 53 catches, 957 yards, 8 TDs. Omar Cooper, 28 receptions, 594 yards, 7 TDs. Mendoza for Cal last year, over 3,000 passing yards. Now he's in Signetti's offense. Mendoza, 50-1. And then, like Jay, I did Austin Simmons, who's in that 33-35-1, 35-1 range. And that's just Lane Kiffin's offense, talented receivers. And I think he's going to put up big numbers. And, I think they'll probably have enough wins to be in the mix. So those are my 4 long shots.
A quick life advice for everybody. If you are on the romantic market, find someone who loves you as much as my man Brian Edwards loves Curt Cignetti. Please. Just when Curt's name comes up, Brian just lights up the room. It's just sweet. It is. And while you don't want to waste DJ Lagway's prime, you would not be upset with a 6-6 record and trade Billy Bob for Cignetti right now.
Oh, no, that would work. Oh, and I'd send like 3 future 5-star picks. But, hey, I will say this. Like, on that note, I was so disappointed in Cignetti in the Notre Dame game. Like, he's punting on 4th. I'm like, I've just been gushing about him all year, and then he's just doing things that are not forgivable. I could not believe it. But anyway.
All right. As for the guys among the front runners, if you want to back LaNorris Sellers, he's in a very similar odd situation as DJ Lagway, and he is going to be 100% of whatever South Carolina is trying to do. I'm not necessarily buying Arch Manning, although he completely checks the storyline box I referenced earlier. I think Garrett Nussmeier is, again, a fine player, but those odds are way too low for a bet like this. But if I'm going to play a couple of the well-known names, my 2 among the favorite, and we divided that line as having lower odds than 20-1. I'm a believer in Cade Klubnik, and I think Jeremiah Smith is maybe the best college wide receiver since Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch the Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith comp as the year progresses. Assuming
you got to believe Jeremiah has a little more certainty at quarterback.
They both have uncertainty at quarterback, in my
opinion. They do, but I mean, you can't find odds on it, but I'd bet that Ty Simpson starts the year but doesn't finish it.
Interesting. For Austin Mack or the freshman they've got coming up?
The 5-star freshman.
Oh, okay. That's not Austin Mack. That's I forget. Okay. I'm going Lagway, and by the way, Lagway is the only one I've bet, but this is really the first time I've put some attention to this. So I'll go check. Only one of my accounts has Heisman odds, and I'm not sure if they've got Haynes King and Robertson, but I will definitely bet them if they're both 60 or longer shots. I would bet them. Lagway is all that I've bet. You can get it from 18 to 20 to 1. All right, I think the script sets up in terms of the storylines fantastically because, A, he has a chance to get 2 big stat games out of the gate, Long Island and USF. Now, those will be on like the SEC Network or ESPNU, maybe. It won't be like, but there's going to be plenty of national spotlight games for him starting in week 3 at LSU against another Heisman guy in Nussmeier. And then at Miami in back-to-back weeks. And then after an open date, Texas at home with Arch, the favorite, or the top 2 favorites he plays against. So if he outplays those 2, boy, we could be in business there. And, a good stat game at home to Mississippi State, then another showcase game against Georgia. And, hopefully a big stat game against FSU down the line. If Simmons is in the mix at Ole Miss November 15th, and hopefully a beatdown of the Vols the next to last weekend. So I'm all DJ Lagway is my main guy. Are we done?
I think so. And one of the reasons that Cade Klubnik is my even with the shorter odds, which are about half, you can get him 10 to 1 in most places. Even if they lose to LSU, I don't know who in the SEC is in the ACC is gonna have much for Clemson.
No,
which means he's a dunk playoff fixture.
Yeah.
And in some ways, losing not necessarily one of those big showcase games, what you don't want to be is the quote-unquote Heisman favorite before Columbus Day, because that guy never wins, because all the voters are looking for chinks in the armor.
When is Columbus Day?
So I think the second Monday in October.
Okay. Well, I think at Georgia Tech, week 3 is a showcase game. Week 1 is a showcase game. And then at UNC, the Belichick angle, and that'll be a big storyline. SMU on the 18th. I mean, that's a rematch ACC championship game. At Louisville on a Friday night. And then
nothing screams old school ACC Donnybrook like Clemson SMU, right?
Sure. But then at South Carolina in the final week, he's got plenty. Yeah, no, Klubnik. Maybe he should be a part of my Heisman profile resume with all. I don't like to make a lot of Heisman bets, but a lot of these seem attractive.